Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Alex Lopez Talks on the Alex Lopez Rocks YouTube channel. Joining me today is one of the best luthiers I've ever met, the incomparable talent of Roger Mello from SeaGlass Guitars. Roger, how you doing?
Hey, Alex, doing well, thank you.
Oh,
Thanks
wonderful. Oh, thank you for joining me and making the time, man. I see the beautiful guitars behind you. Now, how long have you been building guitars, Roger?
About 10 years now, Alex.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, what made you get into it? Because, you know, usually that's a long time to dedicate to start making. You know, some people usually like buying guitars versus building them.
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, I was halfway there with my woodworking. I've been woodworking for, say, 30 years. Mm-hmm. So I had a lot of the tools, knew my way around the shop, and concurrently buying, selling, repairing guitars all that time. And then I decided to try to make a guitar, and it took about 2 years of prototyping to get to the point where I felt confident that it was a decent instrument, which is my goal. And I had a few friends, musician-wise, who I finally felt confident enough to hand over the guitars to, and I got a few blessings early on, which was fortunate. Just, you know, adjust this, tweak that, maybe shape this differently, and it all kind of worked out from there.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And now, building wise, it's usually with musicians, they have like an artist or a musician that they base like their initial sound off of and then expand from there. Was there a luthier or guitar maker or manufacturer or luthier that kind of inspired you in that same way?
Well, I think Paul Reed Smith at the beginning. You know, the guitars are just beautiful works of art. And I said, if I'm going to put the time into this, I'd really like to have it look as nice as it plays if possible.
Nice.
So, and then I've always loved Les Pauls as well, and that sound and such. So I think those two, to a lesser extent Fender, but
yeah,
you know, if you can cover the Les Paul and the Fender Stratocaster sounds, you're doing all right, because I don't need to reinvent the wheel, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, you kind of took on something that works and you kind of put your own spin on it. You know, like
exactly.
It wasn't necessarily reinventing the wheel, but you kind of added a new dimension and layer to it.
Correct. Yeah. That's exactly true. I wasn't looking to experiment with oddball timbers and fretboards and body woods and such. So I pretty much stick to your mahogany maple and some swamp ash and such. Yeah.
Wonderful. Now I see some guitars behind you. You have a single cut variation, which you call the RM3, which is short for Roger Mello. And I think
yeah, it's a real boring name. It's the Roger Mello 3. I didn't know what to call it, and the guitar was done. Everything I came up with, I tried to think of different things related to the ocean, and, you know, the shark or the piranha or all these different names were already being used, and the guitar was ready. So I just used RM3. It was the third model that I had done. Yeah. So that's where the RM3 came from.
Wonderful. And that's just it. Like the name of your company is SeaGlass. So it's kind of cool that you're tying it in. Now, I remember hearing, I think you had told me before, but for our audience, how did you come up with the name? Well,
I live on Cape Cod, and one of our hobbies, as boring as it may sound, is to just walk the beaches and collect sea glass.
Oh, that's awesome.
And well, it's kind of interesting to us, you know, stress reliever, and you can walk miles and see all these rocks and grains of sand and shells and such, but it's kind of rare to find a piece of sea glass. Yeah. And it sounds smooth and enticing, so we went with that. My wife and I, that's what when I say we, she came up with the logo and helped me with the name and such.
Well, you know what? That's a good team right there, because it's a great name, and it's a great name for a great guitars that you're making.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I have you show off your models, I actually want to show the audience a model that you built for me recently.
Absolutely.
But this is the first, not the last, because we are going to be collaborating on some future projects, Roger and I. But if for the audience at home, this is a variation on the RM3. Beautiful, look at that beautiful mahogany back. Very rare that you get to see a nice flame mahogany back like that, with a nice maple cap. So this is my take on the RM3. This, I call it the AL1. So we both have that thing with the naming.
That's right.
Yeah. So, and what Roger has here is a Lawler Imperial in the bridge, a Tone Pros bridge, hip shot, volume and tone knobs, and I think what do you use for pots?
I use Emerson Pro Electronics.
Oh, those are top
an
of
oil
the line
cap.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very nice. Very top of the line for, and you know, when you're making a quality guitar, you want to make sure that you're using quality parts, and Roger does that, just for the audiences aware. And then we also have the open coil hip shut locking tuners. So,
correct.
And Roger was kind enough to, with the single pickup variation, almost a Les Paul Jr. take, but with a little more of the RM3 qualities. We put an ebony board on, and we made it 25.5-inch neck scale. And then since it's just one pickup, I said, hey, why don't we add a kill switch and have some fun with this? So
yeah, with a little help from Jay.
Yeah, shout out to Jay Tullio from Jay's Guitar Garage. But yeah, this build is amazing, and I love it. I've played that at live shows. I've done it on live streams. I actually used it for my band's Virtual Nightmare on Main Street Halloween show last year, and I've actually used it every once in a while on my Saturday night solo streams. It is a wonderful, wonderful guitar.
Thank you.
Okay, and now I've showed the audience my SeaGlass guitar. I see you've got a few hanging back there. Can you show off a few of them and tell us a bit, starting with that RM3? Is that Honeyburst?
Oh, sure. Yeah. This is basically the same guitar as yours, although it's obviously got the two pickups.
Oh yeah.
And it's what I did with this one, I was going through an aged phase where I wanted it to look old. So after I finished it, I basically beat it up a little bit. And, you know, this buckle rash on the back, and you know, dings in the headstock, and kind of a dulled finish, all worn hardware and such, but basically the same layout as yours. This one is 24.5-inch scale, the more of the normal Les Paul scale length with rosewood. But yeah, so that's that one. And I really like the aged aspect of it, because if you're trying to work something out, you just grab a guitar, you don't have to worry about banging it off of the amplifier or so on and so forth. You tend to grab them more when they're already scratched.
Oh yeah, and it usually, when you have it worn in like that, it's got that broken in feel, so it's even more comfortable to play sometimes. You know.
That's true. So I did that one. Oh, I've had that for at least a year.
It's beautiful.
Perhaps a little bit longer. And I just finished this. This is a Nor'easter model with a quilt top.
Oh my goodness! Look at the quilt on that. Like,
so I'm kind of over the aged look at this point. Now I'm back to the, you know, the shiny lacquer. This is a nitro lacquer finish.
Oh, very nice.
And quilt top, as we were talking about, is really hard to find. It's not easy to find that quilted bubbly look, but I found this, and I decided to make a Nor'easter, and I said, well, this one has to be high gloss, shiny.
Oh yeah, with that kind of quilt, you got to go high gloss all the way.
Exactly.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you. It's the other interesting thing about this is it's got Lawlertron pickups, if you can see them.
I do. I was gonna say, it looks like you have some Filtertron in there, but they're the Lawlertron.
Well, the Lawler's take on Filtertron, and kind of a unique sound. I just want to be a little different there. So.
You're already giving my mind ideas. The gears are turning on our future build, man.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm a big believer in the Lawler pickups. Anyways, there's that one. And then we'll go one more. Here's another nor'easter, but this is just a simple flat top version. It's not carved, and more for Strat guys.
Yeah, it looks like a souped up Strat with like with a really cool pickguard. That's wood, right?
Yeah, I tried to put a little art into it. That's a flame maple pickguard. Your basic Strat setup, tone and volume control wise, and I put a flame maple neck on this one.
Great.
Do that one. But this is just an oil finish, which is nice. It's a lot less labor intensive and less expensive, if you want to read it that way, than the lacquer finish. So that's a swamp ash body, a one-piece body. I try to use one piece wherever possible. It's not always easy and to find. Yeah, so there's that. And this guitar only weighs about 7 pounds, so it's kind of deceiving. It looks like your old heavyweight Peavey from when we were growing up, but it's not. It's light. It's light.
Oh, that's awesome. And that looks like and you have a maple neck on that one?
It is. It's a maple neck, flame maple neck.
Yeah, because I'm seeing the flame through the camera, and I'm like, oh wow, that's really nice.
And just rosewood fretboard.
Nice.
So that's for your Strat guy. If he wants it to be a little different, then nothing wrong with buying a Stratocaster or a Les Paul. That's for darn sure. But
absolutely.
You know, people like to have different things, and these are a little different.
Oh yeah. Now RM3, you said that was your third intake on your single cut model. Could you tell us a little bit about your first few steps?
Yeah, well, the first guitar was, I called it a Route 6, which is a smaller body guitar. And for those familiar with Cape Cod, Route 6 is the main highway. That's where that name came from. So I had a few takes on that with a regular flat top and a carved top. I can get this one here if you like. Oh, yeah, this is the very first guitar right here. This is a Route 6. So this was the first one I ever made.
Oh wow, that's so cool. It almost has like the almost like a Nighthawk look to it.
Yeah, yes, I've heard that before actually, and it's very similarly shaped. But it's not quite a full-size body. It's kind of hard to tell.
Oh wow. But even on there, you like through the camera, you can see the quality of the wood that you're using. It's beautiful.
Yeah, so this was the guitar that I handed around to a few different musicians. I have a good friend that owns a music shop, Jay Ford, and the music maker in Acton, and he has 4 or 5 guitar players on staff. So they all took a shot at this and said, hey, I like this, I don't like that, why'd you do this? Try this, but this is good. And nothing was actually a deal breaker, so I kept going.
Very nice.
Biggest thing about this is the neck is huge. It's just a little bit too big for most people. But anyways, it came out good.
Yeah.
It came out nice.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
So I'm doing a build right now for a guy down in Texas, and he wanted the RM3 body.
Yeah.
But he wasn't keen on the pointy lower bout.
Yeah.
So he said, can you put the Route 6 lower bout on the RM3 body?
Oh wow.
I said, yeah, sure, let's try it. It's all templates, and we did. It's not quite ready to show yet, but I can actually show you. You may be able to see. Can you see that, Alex?
Yeah, now I can. Yeah.
If I tilt it,
you tilt it right there. I see that.
So that's a full size RM3 with the lower bout different.
Yeah.
So we can do things like that. Different people ask, for different things. It's kind of fun. Oh, yeah. I love to have a challenge of it. Like yours with the one pickup was a challenge. I had to alter my neck joint a little bit. And
yeah.
Yeah,
I know. it's you know what? It turned out amazing, and also add something to add a little bit of a distinguishing feature. Nobody else has the bat wing.
No, and that's a functional bat wing, the way you like the chunk.
Yeah, exactly.
We had to figure that out for you.
Yeah, because my handle, I like to like rest it and not fully wrap it, but just at an angle that it comes in contact with both the bridge and the wood when I do my heavy down picking, because I have a heavy right hand when I play guitar. And sometimes, and it was affecting the way I was playing, and I'm like, I just can't get the right grip on it. Like the neck sounds great, the body feels great, the pickup sounds great, and it's balanced right. It's just that my right hand just isn't adjusting to it. And we found a solution, and that's another thing that the audience should be aware of, because you take, like, these are custom one-off builds that you're making for each person, and you want to make sure that they're getting the proper experience. So the fact that you did that for me is amazing, and I'm always grateful for that, because if you're going to bring that to a Fender or a Gibson or maybe even a PRS, I don't think that they would be, after getting it, they would say, hey, can we make an adjustment because I'm having this? They're usually like, hey, I made it, it's done. But you take a little, in my opinion, take a little more pride in that, because you want, you were able to accommodate to not only myself, but other players too.
Oh, sure. I always try to make you happy, yeah, it's fun.
Great. Now, you mentioned a few players are playing your guitars besides me. I know you have Ben Cody from the Ben Cody band, and he has this insane looking purple RM3 that you modded and did for him as his signature guitar. Can you tell us a little bit about how you and Ben kind of developed your relationship?
Yeah, we had a mutual friend. Gosh, it goes back maybe 5 years now. And I just wanted his opinion, basically, on my instrument. So he came over one day after school and sat and played them. And we struck up a nice friendship. And I've since built him 2 guitars. The first one is more like one of your well-known Gibson SG type shape that he wanted. He thought would be helpful to him. So I did that. We aged that one. That was back at the aging.
Nice.
And then I said, geez, I really like to make one based on my shape. So he said, well, let's do an RM3 with my tweaks. And I said, great. And the coolest thing I like on his guitar is the reverse headstock. So
yeah,
they're all shaped basically one way. We flipped it over. So if you look really carefully, it's upside down. Yeah. I think that really looks nice.
It looks great. And then that's his guitar also has a floating tremolo.
That's right. Yeah, and that's the first guitar I'd ever done with a floating tremolo. And I used a nice hip shot unit. And it's kind of funny. I asked him, how do you like it set up? And he said, I want to deck it. So after I had done all the work to float it, he wanted it decked, meaning the string, you know what I'm talking about. When the bridge actually sits on the top of the guitar, in case he breaks the string, it doesn't go out of tune. So I thought that was funny, but yeah, that's a fun experience.
Yeah. Now, decking, I think that's another way of saying recessing it, right? Where you're just kind of like.
No, I didn't recess it. It's just sets on the top. It's not actually floating, so you can't pull and push the arm.
Okay.
You can only pull it.
Okay.
So it's Ben's a great guy. He's just a super
absolutely
guy, and incomparable as guitarist in my eyes. Just really, really very talented. And I'm glad to have our friendship.
Yeah, he's an extremely talented guitar player and a great human being as well. I actually interviewed him, and by the time this airs, his episode will already be up. And
oh, great.
One of the things he mentioned was when that he did some trade shows with you, and you guys struck up a really good friendship, and with the build and the signature ones. And this is what he told me about that first SG-ish thing. It was where he's like, he wanted the input jack because he didn't want it to look like a regular SG or an SG knockoff. So he said, hey, I want to do like a Strat input jack right on the top instead of doing that whole SG plug in the middle, so I get it at an angle. But he wanted the 3-knob configuration. And this is, I will have to go back and look at the interview, but from what I understood and from what I heard him say was, you took the SG and made it better. Because you stabilize the neck in a way that old SGs like. If anybody who knows Gibson guitars, and this is not a shot at the company or the brand,
of course not.
The SG body and tone is amazing. Sometimes the neck warps and shifts depending on the temperature and the stabilization factors on the woods they're using. What Roger did for Ben's SG, or I'm going to call it BG for Ben's guitar, he took that shape and model, and then he took elements of another more stabilized neck, and was able to route it and set it up so that you don't have that warping on the neck that usually those kind of double cuts do have.
That's true. I use basically a neck joint at the 16th fret, even though it's an SG. I'm not exactly sure where it joins on a normal SG, but it is higher up than that for the upper access. And a lot of guys love that. But I just used my own neck joint on that, and I guess as Ben says, it's a little more stable. Yeah,
and it sounds amazing. I've heard him play it live, so it's definitely you make great guitars, Roger, and so I want to say kudos to you as well, because
thank you.
To take something that is well known and popular, and being able to put your own spin on it is something not many people can do.
Oh, well, thank you. I enjoy it. I do.
Now, sorry, I'm struggling today. What other artists play your guitars? I know there was a blues player, and I forgot his name. So
yeah, that was kind of an interesting story. Albert Castilla, he's from, I think he lives in Florida, but he was at the Bull Run one night, and I just went to the show with some friends, and I went up after and said, geez, I'm a small guitar maker. If you'd ever like to give me your opinion, I'd appreciate it. And he said, well, I'm playing down in Rhode Island. I think this was a Thursday. He said, Sunday night. If you want to bring one, I'll check it out. I said, oh, okay, I'll do that. I'd appreciate it. So I actually brought this aged guitar, and he played the guitar for 2 hours. He played it all night. I was just in awe that he could not touch this guitar till 5 minutes before the show, and I guess he liked it. Had he not, he may have suffered through a song with it and put it down, but I think it was validation that he really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it as well.
And that's a testament to your work, when somebody who who's never played your guitar, basically it syncs up with them, and like you said, sometimes the guitarist will try it for a couple of songs and then go back to what they're comfortable with.
Of course, but I would have too.
Yeah, but the fact that he was able to play it the entire night is a testament to what you're building too.
Well, thank you, and I'm appreciative of him for doing that for me. It really, again, validated. I really want to just make good instruments, and if they look good, that's a bonus. But I really want good instruments out there if they have my name on them.
Yeah, and you're making them, so it's now, where can everybody find you? Like, I know you're at SeaGlassGuitars.com, but where else can they find you?
Well, I just basically do the normal online stuff at this point, the SeaGlass Guitars, and Instagram is SeaGlass Guitars, Facebook. I try to do shows when they're local. We just did one about 3 weeks ago in Natick, and it was a really good turnout. It had been canceled twice due to COVID, and we finally got the show in, and there was a really good turnout there. So I try to post where I'll be, when I'll be, but if anybody that's serious can contact me directly. We can either meet up, or you're welcome to come here if you're serious about checking out a guitar to have one built, or even buy one that I have in stock. I try to keep a few ready to go for people that just want to meet and buy. Yeah. So even though I live on Cape Cod, my day job takes me up to your area, and that's how I really kind of met up with you a few times. So heading up to that Lowell, Westford, Littleton area is 3 days a week for me. I can always bring something with me too.
Wonderful. Yeah, that Central Mass connection there. It's great.
Right.
Now, you showed us a little preview of the RM3 that you're building for somebody. Do you have any other projects in the work?
I kind of do. I came up with another shape that I'm interested in. I was photographing this one over on the beach the other day, and it just kind of popped into my mind, rather than having the two different size horns.
Yeah.
I think I want to do one that's symmetrical.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if it's going to show up, Alex, but I drew it out on a piece of flame maple. This is how I operate. I get these ideas, and I'll show you if you can see it. I may have to hold it right.
Yeah.
But this is basically, can you see that?
Unfortunately we can't.
No. I'm sorry, but anyways,
okay.
it's got two equal shorter horns.
Oh wow.
So it'll be symmetrical. I may and may not make it, I'm not sure, but I just thought it would be cool. It just came to me while I was photographing that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got, so there's different shapes and options, and
oh sure.
So that's
you know, within reason. I don't like to have a prototype that's sold, because there's inevitably problems the first time you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you hate to get 90% into the guitar and make a mistake. I'd rather make a mistake on a prototype that isn't sold.
Yeah.
But, you know, tweaking this and tweaking that. Some guitars have binding and some are natural edged, and that's all doable. Nice. Different pickups.
That's excellent. So is there anything else you want to plug or promote to our viewers on SeaGlass guitars?
No, we've touched on everything, and I really appreciate you doing this for me.
Oh, of course, Roger. You make some great guitars. I want to make sure that our audience can highlight and know where to find you. So we're going to have all of SeaGlass's information in the description below. So that'll be the website. We'll have all of his social handles. Do you have a reverb store?
I do, yeah, it's SeaGlass Guitars.
So we'll have a link to that reverb store in this video description as well. So if anybody's actually interested in buying, which I know I'm going to be probably making a purchase pretty soon. If anybody else besides me is interested, we'll be able to have the reverb store so they can buy guitars that are built, or or go to SeaGlass Guitar. Sorry, I'm struggling. SeaGlassGuitars.com, and go on the website, get in touch with you, and custom order a build too.
Right, yeah, right up on the top of the website, one of the drop downs says available guitars. That's the easiest way to buy it, just directly right from me. There's pictures and specs and prices on the ones that are ready. Wonderful. Yeah,
that's excellent. Roger, I want to thank you so much for making the time for us today. Again, this was Roger Mello from SeaGlass Guitars, and this has been another episode of Alex Lopez Talks. Again, if you're looking to get in touch with Roger, all of his applicable links are in the description below. Thank you guys so much. You've been wonderful. This is Alex Lopez Talks signing off.